back to Check Out the Stat by your girl, Treasure Wilson, aka Stat Baby. So I know y'all peeped the new intro. Had to have something a little bit different coming into the new year. Shout out TJ, the owner of Live from Channel 88. I really appreciate it. He put that intro together, and I hope y'all like it. Y'all said I needed a new one, and it was time, so now we got it. Okay, and also a big shout out to all of you guys who support and continue to watch my show. My last episode got 100,000 views, which is insane. Y'all know I'm just trying to bring awareness and bring light to women's sports, and I love that you guys are enjoying the content and enjoying what I put out. So today's Superwoman of the Week is going to be a quick little shout out. Today it is Keke Palmer. She became the first Black woman to win Emmy for Best Game Show Host. So earlier this week was the Golden Globes and Creative Arts Emmy Awards. The Emmys date back to 1949. That's when it first started. And it being 2024, Keke was the one to make history. So big shout out to her. There were a couple Black women who made history as well this whole weekend. So shout out to all of them who are doing their thing. We are supporting and watching you and can't wait to see you continue to strive as the year progresses. And me personally, I just love seeing Black women get recognized. That's why I had to start her at the top of my show. Y'all all know Keke has been killing it. So I'm very proud of her and I'm excited to see what she continues to do. Okay. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different, right? Today, I got a football analyst. So today, meet my special guest / analyst. So today, we have a special guest introducing today's analyst, Miles Johnson. Miles is a Morehouse College graduate and currently a graduate student at NYU, getting his Master's of Journalism degree. He has done broadcasting and social media for the NBA and Warner Brothers. Miles has interviewed various athletes and entertainers, including Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Giannis, Trae Young, and the list goes on. He has his own podcast called Real Talk with MJ, where he gives his hot takes and keeps it real. He just celebrated a milestone on his podcast, introducing Miles Johnson.
What's up?
Hello,
What's up?
how are you today?
I'm doing great. You know, everybody knows you as Stat. I know you as Treasure. But
right.
No, it's great to be on here. And the intro, it
Yes.
was superb. It was superb.
Yes.
No cap.
That is you. Like, you deserve all the respect, and congrats on hitting 10K on your sports show. I mean, y'all got to check out Real Talk with MJ. He be killing it and his takes. And y'all will see as we answer a couple of questions. He's a big Philly fan, so I'm sure he has quite a lot to say today. But I appreciate you being on the show. You're super dope. And make sure you guys follow him on his Instagram and socials, which he will relay at the end. But let's get into it. Okay, so we're entering Wild Card Weekend. I'm just going to ask you straight up, especially since you're an Eagles fan, even though you cover all sports, do you think the Eagles are legit playoff contenders? We're going to start off right like that.
All right, look. So I was bound with this all year long. And I'll be honest, these last 6 games, like, they didn't let me down. Like, I can't say to you right now that they're a actual contender when they showed you in the most pivotal month, December. Like, that's the month where you need your teams to play their best ball. They played their worst ball.
Right.
So I think the biggest thing is coaching as to why they're just not maximizing the talent that they have. And it's pretty sad, right? Because you have this perfect mix of vets that been there and done that. You got Lane Johnson, you got Jason Kelsey, you got Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, mixed in with the young guys and Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. So it's sad that I just don't think they're going to live up to expectation. I have them beating the Bucks. Now, a lot of people in Philly been like, I'm down on this team because, he was down by like 24 points to the Giants. Like, come on, the Giants. And so people are really down on them. I think at the very least, they'll beat the Bucks. But against the 49ers, they might put 50 on us. Even the Cowboys, I can't say it out of my mouth, but like, they would definitely do a number on us.
The Cowboys?
Yeah.
See, coming from you, this is crazy because I feel like being an Eagles fan, there's a bit sense of delusion, and I understand, especially as a Steelers fan. So coming from your mouth saying that you guys don't even know if you're going to take it all the way is crazy, but it's the honesty that
I
you
don't
need
know.
when you see your team folding. I mean, you guys were doing so great at the beginning of the season. You know, we thought you guys
Yeah.
could take it all the way, but it's been a decline. And I think you guys' team relies a lot on Jalen Hurts. And so seeing when things don't go as planned, it's like y'all got a lot of reworking to do, but I appreciate the honesty. So, but you have
Yeah, I had
been
to
winning
keep it
against the
real.
Bucks. You
At
do.
least against the Bucks. Now,
Okay.
if they don't, and I've been on record saying this, they need to fire Nick Sirianni. Because if they can fire Doug Peterson, y'all remember that was the coach in 2017, 2018 when they won. If they can fire him 2 years after he won and became the only coach to win a Super Bowl, they can certainly fire Nick Sirianni without a doubt. Without a doubt. So, he's definitely on the hot seat. And if they lose to the Bucks on Monday night, on Tuesday morning, I need to see a notification saying that Nick Sirianni got fired. Like, for real.
So is Nick Sirianni being fired a Miles take, or do you guys think as a whole, like Eagles fan base, this is what you guys want?
All right. So look, there's some people saying just fire the coordinators. You got Brian Johnson, who, we used to have Shane Steichen. Now he's the Colts head coach, and he's done wonders with them.
Yeah, he has.
He almost made them, get to the playoffs
Right.
with Gardner Minshew. So he's a great coach there. He leaves. Brian Johnson, although he actually is up for the Panthers coaching position, that's a conversation for a whole nother day. But I just don't think that he's maximized like the talent around. Like if you watch the Eagles games, they had a bubble screen to this guy, Kenneth Gainwell. You probably don't even know who he is unless you're like a real diehard Eagles fan. He's the running back too. And they had Devontae Smith, the skinniest guy on the field, as the lead blocker.
Right.
And guess what happened? Devontae Smith got injured. And that's why he ain't play last game. And he played every single game up until that point. And then the coaching, which is so trash, basically ended up getting him injured. And AJ Brown came out and he wasn't talking to the media. Then he ended up talking and he was like, "Hey, it's not on the coaches, it's on the players." He's being a good teammate. But everybody knows the real reason why this Eagles team isn't maximizing its potential is because of the coaching. And so that's why I'm gonna say a big portion of Philly fans, because we're real fickle. Like one day we like you, but if you do us wrong, we really not gonna ask Ben Simmons about that. Like, ask these guys about that. So really, like, we're real fickle. And Nick Sirianni, especially if we beat the Bucks, and let's say we, fight hard against the 49ers, maybe it's like a close game, they won't fire him. I won't even call for him to be fired. But especially if Baker Mayfield cooks us with the expectations we had last year coming into this season, you got to. The guy Ben Johnson in Detroit, he's their offensive coordinator. I would love to have him. I think he would do wonders here, but they got to do something because I just don't feel like these players in Philly believe the coaching staff and really believe what they're saying. Like, last thing I'll say about Nick is that he doesn't do anything well. Like, you got to think, like, the great coaches that are young, Nick is only 42 years old. The great coaches that are young, like Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, I'm trying to think of who else. Like, the young coaches, they're good at one thing. They're good at either defense, they're good at offense. Even Mike McDaniel, in Miami, he's too young. Nick Sirianni is to be an overseer. Like, that's what Bill Belichick, that's what Pete Carroll does when Mike Tomlin, but they've been established, like, they have some credibility to be like, you know what, I'm just overseeing everything. But what thing does he do well? And Nick Sirianni, he hasn't called the plays on offense. He hasn't called the plays on defense. He don't do anything well. So it's like, what are you doing? Giving Disney speeches saying we got to fight, guys. We got to be better day by day. Nobody, it's not remember the Titans. Like, come on, bro. Like, come on. So I just don't think that he got it in him to take this team over the hump.
I feel like that's a hot take, especially coming from you. But I mean, we've seen from this season thus far, anything is possible. So if it happens, Miles, I'm coming for you. I'm going to be like, you called it.
Come for me, please.
We'll see what happens. Okay. Moving along, right? Which NFL team right now do you think is the biggest sleeper team people should look out for now and in the future? Because, I mean, we've seen a lot of things shift around. I
Yeah.
keep saying it's the season of the backup quarterbacks, but what team do you think people should really be looking out for?
Yeah, so I would say the Rams, right? And now look, they started off, slow this season, but they really picked it up. And I would say they're the most dangerous wild card team because I think they can beat any team in the NFC. They can beat the 49ers. They're division rivals. So, Sean McVay, he knows Kyle Shanahan best. And the talent that they have on this Rams squad, like they drafted really, really well these past 2 years. Think about Puka Nakua. He's
Yeah.
having the best year for a wide receiver, like over 1,400 yards. I think like over 6 TDs or 6 TDs. Then you have on defense, they drafted this guy in the third round, Kobe Turner, who has 9 sacks this year. So they're doing it on offense and defense. Back to offense, too. Their starting running back, Kyron Williams, you could argue he's a top 3 running back in the league right now. Like, he's had over 1,100 yards, 1,100 rushing yards, and he missed 5 games this year. So he could have been on track to potentially get 2,000, 1,800, 1,900 if he played all 17 games. So they did a great job, drafting. So a sleeper team is definitely them and Matthew Stafford. I like them to beat the Lions when he comes. Like, you can't write it any better. Matthew Stafford comes to Detroit, the team that he was with for all those years,
Right.
comes back and beats them in Detroit. I mean, you can't write it any better.
So you're
So I
saying
would
it's part
definitely
of the
say the
script.
Rams.
It's part of the script.
Part of the script. I don't know, because you see this like this playoff picture. You got the Browns against the Texans. Now,
Right.
if Deshaun Watson, if he was back, that would be some. That would be some. But you got some good matchups here. Even like Packers, you got
Right.
Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys versus his old team. So you got some good matchups right here.
Right. It's funny you say that because I think my sleeper team is the Browns. They weren't initially on my radar. And I mean, as OJ always says on It Is What It Is, defense wins championships. Even obviously with Deshaun Watson out, they can rely on their backups, which I think is very important. Joe Flacco has led the Browns to a 4-1 record with his 5 starts. And I see them beating the Texans. So from there, I'm not ruling anything out, but I think anything is game. So that is my sleeper team. As always, I'm rooting for the Steelers because nobody even expected us to get this far, but we have. And we've seen that
Y'all
we
got TJ
also
Watt now.
can rely. I know, but it's okay because we also can rely on our backups. It's a little bit of delusion, just like being a Philly fan. So don't get on me because I will get on you. We've seen what has happened across the season. So I think anything is game. Right. Okay. So I just got to ask you this, being a Philly fan, right? Obviously, I think Steelers fans are delusional. Philly fans are delusional. But I think the most delusional team in the NFL are Cowboys fans. Do you think they are going to make it to the Super Bowl? Because they say they're up. They said they're winning. So what do you think?
Hell no. And this happens every single year. Like, we're in the cycle, right? We're in the cycle where, they have a bad offseason or they have a bad postseason. The teams, the fans are upset. This will happen last year.
Right.
They come into this season, then they get super hyped up. The Cowboys do well in the regular season. And now it's like, it's even better. They won the NFC East. So they're super number 2 seed. They're super hyped. Now it's just setting them up to get their expectations super, super high just to let them down in the end. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And I ain't going to lie. I definitely think the Packers and Jordan Love spearheading it is going to do the upset. Like, that's the only way it's going to happen in typical Cowboys fashion. And I just feel like what Stephen A say, like, what can go wrong will go wrong with them. I don't know. Like, I'm not too keen on Mike McCarthy's, clock management, especially in those last 2 minutes. I feel like he's got to do a better job. I think that Matt LaFleur is a far better coach, especially with what he's had to work with all those young players, all those rookies that he had to work with. So I would definitely say the Packers could, at the very least, cover. But I'm going to go on a limb and say that they'll beat them. But I just don't feel like they're great offensively, the Cowboys, but their defense is suspect. They have a good game sometimes they don't. You saw in the regular season, whether it was against the Bills ran crazy. I mean, James Cook was looking like OJ, like real red. Yeah, he was going crazy. Talk about even like the Cardinals, they was going crazy. So they're too inconsistent for me. I'm a little biased, I ain't gonna lie, because I'm a Philly fan, so I want to see them lose.
Right.
But what can go wrong will go wrong with the Cowboys. That's what I think.
Right. I couldn't even disagree with you. I think at this point, I think this is the Cowboys' best opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, but I don't think this means that they're going to take it all the way, because I think a key thing is, Cowboys fans right now are like, yeah, we're going to beat Green Bay. This is going to be easy. We're going to keep moving forward. But it's like, let's also not overlook Green Bay, because that's another team people didn't expect Jordan Love to be able to carry this far. So one of those things that you can't get too comfortable for really any team in this round this weekend right now. Okay. So
I will say too. Yeah, I will say with Dak, I'll give him his props.
Yes.
Although I don't like the Cowboys.
You have to.
He been snapping this year. If it wasn't for Lamar that was going crazy, he would have probably been MVP. So I'll give Dak his credit, but you gotta prove in the postseason. You gotta prove in the postseason.
Right. I don't know as far as going to say that he would have got MVP, but I do agree with you. We do have to give Dak his flowers, because you can't hate on a man who's actually performing well. So I'm going to give that to him, but I think that's the most I'm going to give to him right now. We got to see what happens, because every time they get to this point, they get real excited and then they fold. So we'll see what happens. Right. Okay. So what's your take on who you think should win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. So, you got CJ Stroud, you got Puka Nacua, we was talking about earlier. I think it's got to be CJ Stroud, just because the quarterback position is the hardest position to play in football.
Right.
Like, that's why the MVP always goes to a quarterback. That's why if it's like an offensive rookie of the year, that's always going to go to like a quarterback. Even like the year where Justin Jefferson, he had a great year. It was Justin Herbert that was a quarterback that was going crazy. He went ahead and won it. So I feel like CJ Stroud's impact on winning is greater than what Puka has done. Now, Puka has been amazing, but I think what CJ Stroud has done to literally like shift the culture in Houston, like nobody thought that the Texans would make the playoffs, never mind win the division.
Right.
Like, you're making guys like Nico Collins look like Randy Moss, like look like a different type of guy. Like even like when Tank Dell was there before he got injured, making those guys look good. And I love CJ Stroud's character too. Like even after games, he's always like, giving thanks to God and all that. You don't really see that too much, in sports. So I like his character. I like what he's made of, and he's a franchise guy. And they definitely leveled up, because I think he can be better than what Deshaun Watson was for them, and it's only his first year.
Right. I mean, I completely agree. I think obviously the Texans only clinched their division thanks to CJ Stroud, and I think that he was definitely overlooked when it came down to talking about who do you think is going to be the best quarterback out of the rookie quarterbacks. I mean, a lot of people were choosing Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young over him. People were like, CJ Stroud's going to take some time. It's the Texans, whoop, but he has proven everybody wrong and then got their playoff spot, which nobody expected. So shout out to him. This is not to minimize Puka's skills either, but it's like CJ has carried the whole team on his back. He literally has. And they've got this far. So salute to him. I think he definitely deserves it. I mean, we know the Texans had the second worst record in the league. And now to see the point that they're at now is phenomenal. So shout out to CJ Stroud. I think he definitely deserves it. But we will see what happens. Okay, so now I got to get into your predictions. We can make it just real quick. I'll read the games. You tell me who you think will win. Browns versus Texans. Who you got?
I got Texans. CJ Stroud. You can have a day.
Okay. It's like I want the Texans to win, but I think the Browns have it this game. But we will see.
Too much.
We will see. Dolphins versus Chiefs.
Oh, I'm going to say Chiefs.
Chiefs?
It's too cold for them.
Chiefs?
And they're not ready.
Okay. I'm actually choosing the Dolphins. I'm tired of the Chiefs right now, to be completely honest with you. Okay, next, Steelers versus Bills.
I'm going to go Bills. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm
When
sorry.
that
It's over.
game is
It's over. It's
done,
over. It's over.
I'm making
It's
a
over.
whole post about you if the Steelers win.
All right,
I
please no, clip this. Clip this. Please clip
I
this. Like, I don't know how y'all gonna do that. I love Mike
I don't even
Tomlin
know
though,
how we
but
got here. So anything is possible to me at this point. I don't even know how we got here, but we did.
yeah,
Shout out Mason Rudolph. We'll see what happens. Okay. Packers versus Cowboys.
Packers. Come on.
Packers?
We're in love. Let's do it.
I got the Cowboys. Okay. Rams versus Lions.
This is gonna be a shootout, but I got the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford, these guys is gonna be a crazy headline. Homecoming.
Okay.
He goes as and does it in
Okay.
Detroit.
I got the Lions. And for you guys watching, I promise this isn't staged. We did not see each other's guesses because we've chosen the opposite for every game thus far. And then last one, Eagles versus Bucks.
As much as I'm not confident in my team, I gotta roll with them. Eagles all day.
Okay. For you, it's like shout out the Eagles, but I'm going with the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield is going to surprise us, especially, no offense, but after that last game, I don't know if I got the faith.
Bad.
I don't know if I got the faith.
I don't even blame you. We trash right now, but I got faith.
But we will see.
I got faith.
Okay, and then lastly, before we close this segment, obviously my show is all about women positivity and uplifting women. Is there any woman in sports or in your life that you would like to shout out who you think is killing it in the game, the industry, or personally in your life right now?
Yeah, I would really say Caitlin Clark. I mean, like what she's done to really transcend the game of not only women's college basketball, but just college basketball in general. I mean, you saw that buzzer beater. She's hitting 30-foot shots, from really she's from West Des Moines. She's hitting it from wherever, so I think it's definitely Caitlin Clark. And you saw that deal with, the NCAA and ESPN and just how it's going to really help out women's college basketball. Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese have really been a reason why, the game has really transcended. So I got Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Shout out Caitlin Clark. Women's sports is definitely on an upward incline. Well, Miles, thank you for being here. How can people follow you? What are your socials so they can make sure they stay tuned with what you got going on?
Yeah, first, Treasure, thank you so much for having me on. We had them Greek ties, and it was great to definitely, just be always locked in with each other. But y'all can find me at Real Talk with MJ on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and then on Twitter it's at Real Talk with MJ1. So be sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff, share with a friend. But yeah, it's been a blessing being on here.
Of course. And I appreciate you for being here. Y'all don't even know me and Miles have been doing the sports stuff for a little bit. Let me not curse. Been doing the sports stuff for a little bit. And Miles is definitely next up. Like, his work is so good. And it's so great to see us both reaching these milestones and doing things that we're passionate about. Like, we've been doing it forever. So now seeing it all come into fruition is great. And I appreciate you so much for coming up on the show with me. But
thank you.
I'd
like to also say, too, before we get off, it's great to also have people that's like-minded that really are about that grind, in the field of journalism. And, I know her as Treasure. Y'all know her as Stat. So, she's one of the people that, she's a grinder. She works really hard. She produces all her, segments and all this stuff. She creates these topics, so she needs her flowers. So y'all better give her flowers while she's here, man. She's definitely doing her thing.
That was so dope. Thank you so much, Miles, for being here. And like I said, make sure y'all check him out.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. I had a good time because I got to talk a little bit more football. Y'all can hashtag check out the stat so we can continue the discussion next week. And make sure to keep dropping questions and answers on my poll so we can continue discussions as the weeks go on. But thanks for hanging out with me and checking out the stats. As always, I'll see y'all next week.